Hey everybody, welcome to Movie Truths Revealed with Rene Perez and myself, David James Rodriguez, where we are liberating humanity from the mind control that we see in movies and television shows. Thanks for joining us. As I said, movie director Rene Perez is here to break down some of the current news we've seen this month of June in 2025, and also talk about the power of movies and to help you understand what's really going on with the scripts and the acting and all the powerful things that we see on the silver screen. So, first off, Renee, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, David. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we've been talking about this because the importance of movies in creating culture. We're going to start discussing some of the current events and the importance of movies versus other forms of media, and even the power of film and narrative storytelling that some of the new audience members might not be familiar with. So feel free to share what you see happening and what's going on currently that the audience might want to know about.
Well, you mentioned a couple of different talking points. I don't know where you want to start, but I'll start with your first one, which is why I think that movies are the most powerful form to socially engineer a culture.
Mm.
Movies are the most advanced storytelling tools we have. They have music, they have editing, they have emotion. They could make you feel anything. They could make you feel sympathy for a serial killer. And movies are different. Narrative stories, movies like what we're talking about, are much different than documentaries or news. The news needs to be constantly fed to you. And documentaries are good too, but they don't hold your interest for that long. Nobody walks around saying that they have a favorite documentary. But if you ask them what their favorite movie is, they'll have too many to mention, too many to list. So movies really, and shows also, TV shows, just the narrative storytelling is what has the most impact. And I could explain why if you want to go further with it.
Yeah, I think it's a very important point because there are some documentaries that made a difference for me, but it's kind of like it shows you truth. For example, the Federal Reserve System and the fraud of the income tax through freedom to fascism, but it doesn't really inspire me and create a bigger vision. Let's say it's like some of the other movies might, like Rocky or Braveheart for me. So yeah, feel free to dive deeper into some of the more specific points.
Yeah, well, Rocky and Braveheart are two movies, like all movies, that elicit emotional responses. One is about human freedom, Braveheart, and the other one is about trying your best as a human. And those things with both of them happen to have incredible music scores. So when they're showing you what they're playing out their drama, they have extremely beautiful, vistas like in Braveheart, beautiful music. The music swells at the right time and it creates an emotional response. Movies are so new for humans that we've existed 99.999% of our human existence without movies. So we can't really tell when things are happening to the person in the movie as opposed to us. We become the hero. We all have felt like Rocky. We all wish we could be Braveheart. We all know we would run away from the guy who had a chainsaw who's chasing us. That's why people get so frantic when they see horror movies because they really think it's happening to them in a sense. So that's why movies are so powerful. And the people who socially engineer America or the world know this. They know how to socially engineer us using the tools under the guise of entertainment. Because we all work hard, and we all deserve a break. We all deserve entertainment. In fact, the more complicated someone's mind is, the greater the need they have to relax and play. We're all made from the characters who've inspired us. The Bible itself is a book of stories, not a book of facts. And
Mm.
stories, narrative stories, are how humans learn. But we all thirst for stories. A new story is a big thing. It's just a way that we communicate. Humans, absolutely, and it's been scientifically proven, we consume stories to understand ourselves and to understand each other.
That's right. Yeah, that's so true. And I remember how Jesus talked in the Bible about stories. Also, he didn't say logically or supernaturally, but he would give them stories. So
Yeah.
I think that's so on point and is absolute truth. Um, what?
Sadly, now it's the bad guys who know
Yeah,
the power. It's the greatest powerful tool on the earth is stories, and the bad guys are wielding it. That's why Hollywood is all corrupt, and they can't make good stories anymore. All they can do is copy because evil cannot create. So that's the one thing that helps us is that they're making such bad stories that even the normies out there who don't keep up with movies or who don't keep up with psychological operations from the government, even they have to notice all the craziness that's going on and why entertainment has taken such a sharp decline.
and from a commercial standpoint, you think that these blockbusters would make lots of money, but I think the Joker has been losing money. At least the second one, maybe the first one might have broke even. I can pull up those numbers, but they're costing hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're not even turning a profit. So, would you say
Well,
that's
it's not only the Joker, it's even the normies are starting to get tired of it. So the Black Mermaid, Little Mermaid bombed, the Mexican Snow White bombed, Captain African American bombed, even an Indiana Jones movie bombed, which to me that seems impossible. But everyone knew it was just going to be woke Disney propaganda movie, making fun of him for being an old white man, making him pay the price for their hatred of white men, and nobody wanted to see that. I never even thought. I didn't even see a trailer for it. All I just saw is that they put a woman in place of Indiana Jones, and she punched him out, and she's the new Indiana Jones or whatever. I mean, it's just horrible propaganda. But you got to understand, these studios, they work directly with the people who print money. So they don't care if their movies bomb. They do for public perception reasons, but in reality they work for the people who make money. So all they want to do is make sure that their message is heard more than anything. That's the real goal, is that their perverse messages are heard and normalized by people. Now there's so much perversion normalized that a man cannot even watch a John Wayne or a James Bond movie without crying about how sexist or how mean he is, because they've been normalized to think in feminine ways. And it's just a shame, you know. So they're learning to hate the good stuff and learning to defend and accept and think that these perversions are normal.
right? And you mentioned the word woke, and I've spoken with some other friends who maybe had a some kind of positive light to it, but I think more cultures now understanding woke is not positive. Do you have a definition for woke, or how would you help someone um, identify if something is woke in your view?
So the word woke already I reject just because it's a stupid word. I am not a stupid person to most people's metric to to measure intelligence. But woke is used to put people in positions that they have not earned. So I'm only 5'10". I'm older than time. Would you think it's okay for me to get a position in the NBA?
No.
No. Um, Tall people, especially blacks, have a some kind of talent for this. I don't have a talent for it. So
Yeah. So the merit. So like the woke is not a merit.
yeah, it's making achievements without being worthy of them.
So, and just to emphasize, like Martin Luther King really inspired me with his courage. And there's other people out there that have inspired me that have done well. But woke for me is like promoting lies as truth,
Mhm.
and like a woman beating up a giant man in these movies. I mean, you want to comment on how that's kind of woke also, when these like women are the superheroes and they're beating up men, and it's just kind of inverting reality
Yeah.
entirely.
They have women doing the roles of men. A woman's hero journey is different from a man's heroic journey. We're two different genders and we have two different things that make us good or bad. For example, the worst thing a man can do is rape. But the truth is, for a woman, the worst thing she could do is be a slut. So those are the worst things each gender can do. And we have different heroes' journeys. The perfect hero journey is Star Wars. As you can see, I'm a big fan. And it is just the absolute perfect hero journey to show boys what it takes to be a man and what it takes to say no to the evil that's out there and stand your ground. A perfect feminine hero's journey, I think, is Beauty and the Beast or something like that. Because a woman needs to find a man, a dangerous man, and not choose the handsome, cute guy like the Frenchman that I forget the guy's name, but there was a guy looking at himself in the mirror and he was handsome and all the girls liked him, but he was a fake masculinity, because when it came time to fight, the handsome guy with the mirror, always looking in the mirror, brought the whole village to fight the monster, the beast, and the beast
Gaston.
fought man to man.
Hmm.
So in the end she realized she needed the real masculine power, and she became attracted to him. Women used to be told by their fathers who to marry, and it is a time where we had a 1% divorce rate because women would start to see the good in men and they would become attracted to that man, even if they weren't attracted to him at first as teenagers or whatever. But that's the beauty of a male and female relationship. That's the beauty of nature when people come together. Hollywood tries to make us all go against our natures. So, yeah, it's funny because, I tell my daughters, hey, your worth is not measured by how many men you can beat up, and your talents lie elsewhere. But they put her to show that she is only as valuable if she acts like a man, if she goes against her nature. That's why they have female Die Hard movies where they copy the story of Die Hard, and the woman has to light up a cigarette and shoot everyone down like Bruce Willis. They have girl superhero movies, and they have in the Avengers they have some short little hot attractive young woman, but she can't. She's over there beating up 250-pound Arnold Schwarzenegger guys that it's just becoming laughable at this point. There's a girl Luke Skywalker, there's a girl Bruce Willis, there's a girl Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator. They've gender swapped or race swapped everyone just to attack straight white men.
So what's the gender swap about? Because that's kind of confusing too.
Well, the thing is, they want to take power away from straight white men. You and I are both have Hispanic surnames, but men that look like us with black beards, well, mine's gray, unfortunately, but younger men, we conquered half the world. They don't want men like us.
Mm.
White men with blue eyes, they fought against the British Empire and won our freedom. So they don't want men like us. They don't want manly men. They don't want men who speak the truth. They want only men to be apologetic because they used to use war to get rid of the strong men, but now they can't really do that
Mm.
because no one would go, and they use computers for everything. So now they need to alter our perception rather than just kill us on a battlefield. Now the strong young men are all but gone. It's just us. Probably you're the youngest generation of strong man that still exists. And once you age out, I'll be aged out before you. But once we age out, all they will have are perfectly mind controlled young men who apologize for following nature
Yeah.
and who despise Mother Nature and God and love the state. It's communism. They did it before with the Russians. They didn't even do it that long ago.
Yeah, and I noticed too that God bless my parents and family, but to learn about love and like to protect the family, I really learned from movies. I've read some books and such, and you don't see it in sitcoms or television shows. You see it in movies. And this is why I started to realize this is programming. And if there's audio programming and visual programming, but in terms of love, how to have good relationships, I didn't learn that, unfortunately, from the people that I thought should be teaching me. And so you brought up how in the old days, the say the fathers would help the daughters kind of choose their partner, because as men we know what men are, and what we like, and we can see kind of shady bad men, or see behaviors of men, to say, hey, you don't want to marry that guy, you don't want to be in a relationship with that guy, but this guy, he's a good honest person. And as you
Yeah.
said, in time they fall in love with that, and it takes years to realize what a good man is. So
Yeah. They had a thing where I saw where they interviewed all these old ladies. I mean, they were old ladies. They were like 90 years old, looks like, at least in their 80s. And they all said they hated their husband at first, but then they're so happy that they never gave up on it, because even though their dad made them marry them, it was the right man for them, and now they deeply love their husbands, the ones who were still alive. Now our divorce rates are higher than ever. They're all initiated by women. 80 to 90% are initiated by women. So they teach women that they are superstars and that they deserve everything, not what they've earned, but what they think they deserve. Like for me, I think I deserve a harem of young, hot women. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it. So they're taught to believe that what they want is the gospel truth, not what they have earned. Men believe with their eyes, women and feminine men believe with their ears. So a man choosing a husband for a daughter is going to be done with logic as opposed to emotion. While the daughter's heart's pitter pattering and going crazy because he's so handsome, the dad knows this guy, whether he's handsome or not, he's not a good man. And usually dads are older, like my age, and we get a sense about people. And especially when it comes to our daughters, we're the only people on the earth who don't want anything from our kids other than for them to do better. Even mothers don't want their daughters to do better. It's just the truth, and people hate to say it, but everything you and I are talking about here is truth. A woman only wants her misery to be shared, never her prosperity.
mm,
So even mothers, that's why single mothers are such a poison to society, because they create feminine men and they create promiscuous daughters. And some women may think they're not like that, but their actions show different. They let their daughters, they dress their daughters to go out to prom, and they're like, "Oh, I hope you don't get raped with all these drunk teenagers." You're like, "Why would I send my daughter to a dance with a whole bunch of drunk teenagers?" Even if the boys are good men, they may be tempted into doing bad stuff just by putting them in a place with alcohol, freedom, and girls in pretty dresses. So it's like the whole society is made for women to destroy their life. And movies show that. You'll never see a movie with a good mother in it, a happy wife. All you see are movies with bad mothers and promiscuous wives doing what they think they deserve, because they know that that will destroy the culture. It makes the women no longer a prize, and it makes the men no longer want to fight a dragon to marry them. It's happened so many times through history, but of course, no one would teach that in schools, because then they would start to notice the pattern of what the government does to us. So, yeah, movies are just connected. They're connected with the pharmaceutical industry, they're connected to the food industry, they're connected to the branches of government. It's all just to keep us as a herd of tax cattle. That's why we were bred, and it's sorry for people to think that, but it's the truth. But we could be the first generation of tax cattle to wake up and do something about it. And yeah, our parents weren't awake enough to see it. And I love my parents, but this just wasn't, there wasn't enough information flying around the world the way there is now. So the voices that did have, the secret to life were silenced.
That's right. Yeah, and for so long, even into the 1800s, like say Darwinism and the elites, I don't call them elites, I call them predator psychopaths. They came up with these ideas that there are these inferior races, and you mentioned some earlier, but for to the English, the Irish are these inferior races. So they
Yeah.
were using science to prove that they're inferior, and that's when the big surge of private schools, elite boarding schools started to come around, and they say, "Oh, you have to keep the bad DNA from the good DNA." And in reality, I think we're all, children of God. Everybody's got their strengths and weaknesses, but they are definitely attacking all races. They're attacking all people. I
Well,
think
they're
there's.
mainly attacking straight white men because we're the ones who are smart enough to do it. They've already got China under control. Those people have no freedom whatsoever. But that's just the God's honest truth using logic and statistics and visuals you could understand. So you have to use your judgment. You have to use facts more than what you hear from movies or the news because that stuff is all just propaganda to make you bad. It didn't all you always used to be. The news used to report news, and then they discovered how great of a tool it is to get the 45s and up. And movies are good to get the 15s to 45. So
Mhm,
they have something to get us all. They have something to socially engineer us all. And now everyone's so afraid of saying the truth.
mm,
It's like if black people want to improve their image, maybe they should stop robbing and killing everyone. But they've been taught to have a victim mentality. If the white man wasn't here, they would be flourishing. And when you say that to lower races, they start to believe it because they've all been raised by single mothers who only believe through their ears, not their eyes. So if you could lie to them and tell them that they're victims and say, "Hey, you'd be the king of the world if it wasn't for these white people." But we all know that 99% of all white people are just trying to do their jobs and raise their families. They're not trying to socially engineer any of us. It's the people who are in every country, whatever the elected officials or the prime ministers or presidents or religious leaders or billionaires, they are the ones. They are the ones socially engineering us to hate each other, to bomb other cultures out of existence. It's all just them. It's literally the one minus 1% who is ruling the world. And we're just here to generate wealth for them and sex slaves. That's it. That's literally all we are and all we've ever been since the time of the pharaohs.
mm. Yeah. Well, the truth hurts, and so the truth also heals as well. So we have to face reality of the movies and what's going on, and how the prison population in the United States is, I think it's 25% of the planet, and we only have 5% of the population on the planet. So there are nefarious actors at play. They use the movies, they use rap music, which I was a big fan of rap growing up. I didn't realize they're promoting drugs,
Yeah.
uh, just weakness, no family, robbery, crime, guns are cool, shooting people's cool, murder, like this kind of stuff. And so as a kid, you need a hero. And I think that's why the movies are so powerful. You see a hero, and as you said, in these movies, you don't see a woman who's a happily married woman. One of your presentations, and we'll talk about this on future shows, about promiscuous women and how every movie that like matters is all about women cheating. And you laid out, I think it was 5 or 8 different movies that are blockbusters, all cheating women. And so now with the Snow White failing, it seems like the pendulum's falling back towards some sort of truth or kind of factual stuff. But since
Well,
we're.
don't think that because there are different tactics to using to turning people into woke or turning men weak and making women promiscuous. They won't go back to making good movies. They will just try a different tactic. And they've tried many. I'd say throughout the last 10 years, the most prevalent time.
Mm,
So from 2015 on, it has been absolutely one agenda, which is to weaken the human race, the sheep, you know, and they're doing it and they're winning. And I see the results of them winning with every young person that I meet.
Yeah, yeah, it is brutal, and we really need to do something about it. So I think that's a great point. That we put together this project. We're looking for investors now to make these movies. That you have so many great scripts. Before we could talk about that, you want to talk about James Bond? This is some current news that people should know about. You have some of the inside looks that I definitely don't have, but are so fascinating because the truth is coming out little by little, especially thanks to some of the courageous work and films that you've made. And we want to do more, and we need your help, audience members, to do that. But let's talk about James Bond and what you have noticed, how they're changing their techniques. As you said, they're not going to do, like you said, maybe a black James Bond or a female James Bond or whatever, inversion they normally done in the past. How's the James Bond film looking, and what have you noticed there?
Well, it was the IP of James Bond was purchased by Amazon. Amazon, Netflix, and Disney are the three biggest social engineers of weak men and promiscuous women. So I've been noticing in the last week or so that they have promotions up, and they put it as news, like, oh, this woman is being considered to play the next James Bond, and you're like, what? And what these things are, anytime you hear a movie announcement, they pretend it's news, but it's not news. They're paid by either their advertising department or actors. Um, what do you call it? Publicists. Yes. They also do it to figure out what people will tolerate. They do it actively, hour by hour, on the Star Wars websites. But for James Bond, I think they put about an ad out a day, and they say, well, at first this woman is being considered, and they choose a great actress, some woman who's attractive but getting older, and they say she's going to be the new James Bond. But everything you see has the laughing face, like they'll joke about it. And Disney and Amazon and Netflix, they don't want to make things no one's going to watch, so they have to find a way someone's going to watch something and be triggered by their messaging. So the woman didn't work. So they said, well, we'll put a black guy. So I saw images of some black guy with blue eyes, contacts, obviously. And they said, well, it's a man. Didn't you guys want a man? But yeah, but James Bond is white historically. It's
Yeah.
part of our cultural existence. And you don't just do cultural vandalism. So everyone put the laughing face. So, like, oh, there's too many laughing faces. The sheep will never go for this. So they said, but we can't put a straight white male or else we won't get our funding. Amazon will be replaced by something else. We didn't buy this to fail the elites. We have to do what their bidding is. So, what they're doing is to make us have a great role model for men, is they're going to put an under 30-year-old man as James Bond. So, a testosterone less, socially engineered boy will be James Bond. So, instead of the tough man who's already become a man and knows what to do, this is the best they can do to get an audience to watch, keeping it a straight white male, but also keeping it feminized. Does any of that make sense to you?
Yeah, because in the old James Bond, he's a little bit older and he goes after the younger women, but then
Which is nature, which is the best combination of nature.
right, and then so with experience, he would protect the women or be have some wisdom towards them versus a younger guy where you're still figuring out life and not really
Yeah.
sure maybe what your
You're
values
not a
are.
fit role model in your 20s
Yeah,
to show what manhood is.
that's right.
So by choosing a man under 30, I mean, they're going to just, it's like I said, they try different tactics. Because if they could get away with a gay, black, transgender, midget or whatever, they would do it.
Yeah.
But they do these studies. They pretend there's news. Oh, this actor is up for the part. It's fake news. I hate to say it, but it's just made by their publishing publicist department
Yeah.
and their public image departments to gauge the petri dish, the science. How many people would laugh at this? How many people would go watch this? And the thing is, the family that owned James Bond for decades since, and they went pretty woke on their last movie already. They had James Bond die because he's a straight white male. They had him subservient to some black woman. And like I said, everyone gets replaced, but they're losing so bad. They have Iron Man is replaced by a black girl. Girl, I hope it's a girl. She looks like an orangutan. I don't mean to be rude to her. I'm ugly too, but Jesus, you think they'd pick a pretty black girl to put in there? Luke Skywalker got replaced by a woman. Captain America got replaced by a black. Snow White got replaced by a Mexican. Little Mermaid got replaced by a black girl who was pretty, so that kind of made sense. It's all just so incredibly obvious.
Yeah, and there was a KGB defector, Yuri Bezmenov, and he said, when you're trying to take over a country, demoralization is towards the end. And so now they're trying to demoralize the culture, the individual. You make you feel like a weak individual. Where I believe that we're, children of God or source, something beautiful. Everyone's powerful in essence, but they it's called learned helplessness in the education world, right? You tell a child that they're weak and stupid, and they're going to believe you. So they're using movies on a mass level to mind control the world and tell them they're nothing. And so I think this kind of conversation is so important so people can transcend the mental enslavement and actually come out of it. So
Yeah, and you didn't mention it, but I am in the movie business. I've directed over 40 movies in my decades long career. So that's why I'm able even to speak on these things, because I hear the actual edicts that producers are given that they must comply with. I work for a whole bunch of cheapskate, no good producers. I mean, I have some producers who are straight white men who will villainize and act like they hate straight white men. I'm like, what do you do this for? I mean, they're making movies where some little girl is the ultimate weapon. You know, we used to have Rambo, and Rambo used to show us through his physical prowess that he was strong enough to hold a machine gun and knock people out. And we used to have men like Bruce Lee who could really knock you into tomorrow and show his physical prowess, and you knew they could do it. But now it's some 90-pound supermodel doing a karate kick and knocking out some 250-pound accommodating stuntman just to make little girls understand that they don't have a worth unless they act like men.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. And reality is that the women are beautiful as they are. They're
They are,
beautiful.
but they're meant for different types of things. That's why they don't show a good mother. That's why they don't show a dutiful wife. They don't have any representations of that. When I was a kid, they used to have a Little House on the Prairie,
Right.
something where you'd see a good mom, but
Yeah.
that's all gone now. Sorry to be bringing so much truth here to this conversation, but if you follow the Bible, they really give you the best blueprint for living life. If you follow a John Wayne movie, they give you the best blueprint for living a good life. But you have to use your logical brain to make decisions. And we're all human. We all have emotions. I have emotions. You do. Everyone does. John Wayne has emotions. But we can't let our emotions overwhelm us and stop believing with our eyes and believe with our ears, because anyone can say words and they use them usually to get what they want from you, not to make you better, except for your dad. Your dad will always have your best interest in life.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And we're kind of at the end phase of freedom or a beginning of a new phase of freedom after, generations of being cooked, slowly boiled in the water like a frog, as they say. And so
Yeah.
they've used the mind control through media. And now it's beginning to be very apparent to many of us. And so I have seen some movies out there, but not very many, showing the new world, some of the new solutions, and a world that's family is good. You mentioned Little House on the Prairie. It's great. But where are those movies? And so these, as you said,
They've
the
been shut down.
mandates.
If they make a new Little House on the Prairie, by Netflix, it'll be a queer family and they'll all be some kind of other ethnicities other than white because they don't want uh, s- strong white males to be produced.
Right. Yep, absolute inversion. So we want strong families, want strong men, feminine women, have a lot of babies, grow your own food, and that's exactly the projects that we're working on. Movies that show solutions, and you have a bunch of movies that you've written already. Over 40 commercially released movies. It's proven. People that want to take a look, go to Flix.com and you can go look up Rene Perez on the internet. You know, a lot of his movies are available on Amazon, in Target. It's prolific, actually, very exciting stuff. So if you want to get involved, contact Rene or myself, and we can get this going. But these types of episodes are really exciting, Rene. So thanks for taking some time to give us some inside baseball on the movie business, and look forward to speaking with you again. Any final comments before we end the show?
Well, I know a lot of what I said is not fun. It doesn't leave you with a happy feeling, but it's the truth. And the truth hurts, but it shall set you free.
Absolutely. Yep. We must face it, and then we can overcome it and actually deal with the reality as it is, not how we want it to be. So,
Yes.
again, thanks for joining us here on Movie Truths Revealed. We are liberating humanity from mind control by helping you to think for yourself and transcend the matrix, media, movie systems that we're in and have a good life. So, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Movie Truths Revealed.